Hello viewers, and welcome to another video on Project Cars that I recorded a few weeks ago. Actually, I was recording Forza Motorsport with the Lotus 49, and then thought, well, I'd jump on to Project Cars with the Lotus 49 as well, just to see the comparison between the two, and just the different approach to driving. I think the first thing really with the with the Project Cars was the ability to remove the steering wheel and adjust the field of view. Just makes for a different experience entirely. There is a bit more grip on the Project Cars, but surprisingly only marginally. You know, I mean, it's not a huge difference. I still wasn't able to really throw the car in, and when I look at both games, and especially with this car, neither car, looks authentic in the replays. I mean, I've never driven one of these cars, obviously, but I've watched a lot of races with them, and the guys would throw the cars in, and the cars would get light, and they'd lean, and they'd take amazing speeds, and they'd seem to have good control over them. Don't get me wrong, these were super talented drivers with balls of steel, but it's just the car is, because it's an old car, everybody makes it really hard to drive, and I'm sure it's fragile, but at the same time, not quite getting the cornering speeds I'd like, and it's quite affected by bumps again as well. So it's been interesting driving the two cars. There's still that bit there. Do you see that? That was the same thing that happened in Forza Motorsport. How weird is that? So there is that bump on that straight that affects both games at the same point, and yet they have different handling characteristics in many respects, and different driving styles as well. So it's a very unusual point to see that in two different games that behave differently like that. It must be my fault putting the foot down. No, it's a strange one. It's not something I've encountered with any other car in the game either. So normally I have my entry point, my exit point. I know when I put the power down. It's interesting. Car really understeers through here, uphill, pushing the car out wide. You've got to get it in early, oversteer a bit, and get on the power once the car is straight. Not a moment before, the car will spin out. It's quite technical here. Changing gear, I'm blipping the throttle, just because it just makes the car a little bit more comfortable under changing gear. This wasn't a paddle shifting car, and you've got to allow it time to shift gears, otherwise you can get that little bit of extra wheel spin, and it can throw the car off slightly occasionally as well. Obviously Brands Hatch, I've used this circuit because it's a circuit I know very well, but again it's funny how in every game and simulation you play there are subtle changes, camber changes, texture changes, bumps that are different, and so you're always trying to relearn it in every game. Either way, what did I think of this experience? I didn't enjoy either one, to be fair. I never really felt I could get into the car. I felt I was tippy-toeing my way around, and never really felt like I was really getting the most out of the car. It would be nice if you could slide it a bit more, like I say, lean on the tyres a little bit more. They were rubber back then, rather than the chemical compounds we have today that we call rubber. Really gently on the brakes, nice and early, turning in, you see, way before I get to the corner, and then progressively on the power. If I stamp on the power, it's really unstable. I mean, the back end can just fly off. Again, this is all assist off, to my knowledge. This is all assist off, so it's important to just keep it on the road. Yeah, this is all assist off, this one, and just settle for some clean laps. So driving experience then, to round off, different but similar results. I think that's the interesting thing with both games, different but similar results. Can't honestly say I enjoyed driving the car in either game. Not one that I would necessarily play a great deal of, but certainly interesting from technical point of view in terms of focusing, concentrating, and really you can't make any mistakes. You've just got to be really consistent and alert. Like the curbing there was starting to drag me off a little bit in terms of how to maximise your speed. But that's it for this multicam video. Something different. We're getting on with other bits and pieces now, and there'll be more from me very soon.